Hello, everybody. Welcome. I know I'm a little late, but I apologize. Anyway, welcome to Friday with Wendler, the weekly live stream, which I endow my great, and well, let's just be honest, my average wisdom. And let me see what's going on. So we got, let's start with London football. We're still in the playoffs. We won last week. Unbelievable game. Bananas game. The other team played incredibly hard too. I give them a lot of credit. And oh my God, the one thing I've said this I think last week, our kids know how to fucking give effort. Obviously, the kids make mistakes and all that other stuff. That's part of football, part of sports. But my God, do they know how to give effort? And maybe when the season's over, I'll tell some stories. So without naming names and stuff like that. But super proud we got a playoff game at a neutral spot tonight. It is supposed to be cold and rainy, which to me is perfect for us. So anyway, I have no idea about the other team, by the way. I don't do any research. I have to ask the kids, like, do they have anyone that's, I have no idea. So anyway, this week's music recommendation is from the year 2000. It is from New Orleans, Louisiana. It is not I Hate God or Crowbar or Goat Whore or anything. It is the Suplex. It's called, this is actually not, it's called, let me just make sure. It's technically called Wrestling with My Lady Friend, I believe. But anyway, you can tell probably by the artwork. It is on Man's Rune Records. If anyone remembers Man's Rune Records had some amazing releases. Frank Kozik was the owner of Man's Rune. He was also a terrific artist. So you can always tell Frank's artwork. This features Danny Nick on bass. Danny Nick, some of you guys would know, played bass on Confederacy of Ruined Lives. That's how I got turned on to this. The I Hate God record, right? Confederacy of Ruined Lives. So when I found out he had another band, I checked it out. This is 100,000% 90s, 2000s stoner rock. So if you guys were part of that genre, so to speak, at that time, you will know exactly what this sounds like. I re-listened to this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I was surprised that pretty much, I don't know, there's 11 songs on here, and from my estimation, there's 10 bangers on here. There's probably one song I really wasn't in love with, but absolutely awesome. So if you like classic rock that's really heavy, thick, fuzzed out rock, this is it. Let's see. It was actually, I just looked this up. It was produced by the Suplex and Jimmy Bower, right? So you can figure that out, what it kind of sounds like. A lot of open strings, a lot of 5 and 7 on the Sabbath, beep, and the 3 and 5s and 5s and 7s and shit like that. So if you play guitar, you know what I'm talking about. Again, the Suplex, Wrestling with My Lady Friend, is the name of the album. Huge fan. In fact, I don't know. I'm not going to see if I can do this. Yeah. I don't know why it doesn't have the name of the album on there. So, but whatever. Highly recommend it, especially for just what was the band I had the other day? Unida. It's kind of in the vein of Unida. Maybe if the more famous band that more people would know would be, oh my God, Fu Manchu. All right, they're a little more groovier than Fu Manchu, a little more Southern style. So, as always, if you have a question, please ask in the top chat. Oh my God. And I will do my best to answer it, okay? I appreciate whoever wants to get on here and help me out and help the people out. Remember, if you have a question, other people probably have the same question. All right. First question is, do you record the Cryptea Assistance? I have a habit of feeling I have to beat it if I wrote it down, but this seems to fly in the face of auto-regulation and daily readiness. Yeah, you can record the assistance if you want. It's just you're not going to beat it all the time. That's impossible. Everyone will be benching like 5 million pounds, right? So do I? No. All right. We might know certain records here and there on certain lifts that we keep track of. But we mostly just keep track of the main lift and stuff like that. So do you record it? I do not. But you kind of know, if you dumbbell squat 150 for 25 reps, you'll probably know that's a PR. But it's not like I'm not going to track like tricep push downs or I don't know, body weight pull ups if we're just doing sets of 10 or something like that. I don't worry about that. So, but yeah, personally I don't. I just track. I have a little system with how I do the. I have the first 5 sets planned out, and then I go from there. That's kind of how I've done it forever. So we only do 10 sets. How we do those 10 sets will vary from day to day. But the goal, 10 sets of the main lift, I should say. And then we just alternate assistance work. We're on a timer. The first couple sets obviously might be a little quicker, and that's fine. Give you a little rest on the back end if we're going a little heavier. So, all right, here we go. Casey asks, hey, Jim, looking back, what is 1 or 2 things you think made the biggest difference when it comes to training your athletes in the weight room? Always love your insight. Have a great weekend. Well, you have a great weekend, Casey, also. I appreciate that. And, the one thing, I don't know if this is the right attitude to take, but when our kids are in the playoffs, I always feel like we're playing with house money. So as long as the kids give great effort, whatever the outcome is what it is. So I'm more worried about what we do in the moment, so to speak. I'm very process oriented. So I only worry about Monday, and then I worry about Tuesday. What are we doing? Stuff like that, and let the game handle itself, so to speak. All right, so Jim, here we go. What is 1 or 2 things you think make the biggest difference when it comes to training your athletes? So I believe that the 2 biggest things that make your weight training program successful, I guess, is things you can't control. And one is the head coach. I've said this many times. If the head coach isn't supportive, doesn't help build and maintain a culture, then it doesn't really matter what you do. I mean, it does, but you're going to have a lot of inconsistencies in your training. The kids aren't going to take it very seriously. Number 2 is, again, you can't control this, the athletes that you get. We have some really hard-working, kick-ass kids. I have never been more proud of like our seniors this year. Every year, someone surprises me. Our team surprised me. You still need to have some dudes on your team. Doesn't mean they have to be 5-star athletes, but you need dudes on your team that are willing to work and willing to bang on the field. That's it. So with those 2 things in mind, the biggest difference, I think, or the biggest reason for our success is the consistency, which relies on those first 2 things. I think the consistency makes all the difference in the world. The consistency allows us to train, kind of hard, not too hard, depending on the day. It gives us some flexibility in what we do because, like, as an example, we run year round. I don't care what the weather's like, we will find a way to run after each training day. We just don't run a lot. Our running maybe takes 10 to 20 minutes at the most, unless we're pushing the prowler, take a little bit longer. So I really think that makes a difference because we never have to just crush the kids. And the other thing is I guess this more has to do with me, is I'm always willing to make changes if I think we need to improve on an area. I'm not just content with like what we did the first year is completely different than what we did the 3rd year and the 4th and 5th and 6th and stuff like that. The principles remain the same, but how we approach it is going to be a little bit different. So I am looking for the first at least 6 weeks of this next off season. We're going to do something a little different. I don't know how it's going to work, but we're still going to be squatting, doing pull-ups, bench press, dumbbell squats, trap bar, prowler, stuff like that. So the basics remain the same, so to speak. It's just how we're going to apply them and just being better and more efficient. So there you go. And now, you know what? Here's another thing. Again, this is high school, so just understand that is I don't look at our kids as like football players, so to speak. I'm trying to build high levels of general physical preparedness. And the best way I can say that, I just want door kickers. I want kids who can run, who carry less body fat, who are muscular, who can jump, just overall badass dudes. I don't worry about football specific shit. It's in this day and age, at this level, I don't think you need to do that. So, and one of the things I think we do very well as coaches, not me, football coaches, we put our kids into positions that allow them to succeed. We don't try to fit our kids into a system. We've developed a system on the kids. And, I think our heaviest kid on defense is like 190 pounds or so. That's our heaviest player on defense. But our kids all train hard. They're fairly strong. All right. No one's deadlifting 700 pounds or squatting, 550 or anything like that. But they're very in shape. They're very strong. They have high work capacity, stuff like that. So I hope that helps. There's nothing like, not one magical thing with any of this. There's so many components to everything. So without Kyle, without the kids, I'm nothing. I'm zero. So just understand that no matter what you're doing, you need other people to help you. All right. Eddie Fleury says, I've been doing the DeFranco washed up template, but with prep fat loss style assistance. That's very smart. Let me just scroll down here. Bench press with lower body and pulls as his assistance. Box squat with push and pull, and chin ups with lower and push. So far, he's gained 3 pounds and his body fat is down. Wow. Here we go. He goes on and says, I saw Wolfie Van Halen. Yep. So for those that don't know, Wolfgang, I think his real name is Van Halen, is Eddie Van Halen's son. He said he saw Wolfie Van Halen this weekend. He's incredible. I got to go to sound check and meet him. He is an unreal musician. Yes, he is. Everything you hear on his albums is him playing every instrument. Jesus, that's very impressive. Oh, here we go. Eddie Fleury says the opening band, Return to Dust, also blew me away. They sounded like 90s era Alice in Chains. Woo. I got to meet them and found out the drummer is Slash's son. Jeez. So there's nothing genetic about any of this. Eddie Van Halen's son, Slash's son. The crowd was stunned how good they were. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I don't know the last time I heard a live show. I don't know. I'll think about that one. It's been a long time. All right. Well, I'm glad you had fun, buddy. And the band is obviously Wolfgang Van Halen. I don't know if that's the name of his band. And then the other band that Eddie recommends is Return to Dust. All right. Spencer Mills says, hey, Walrus using a 20-pound weighted vest at 10% of your body weight. Okay. Just wondering what weight you would recommend for squats, using a kettlebell or dumbbell, and if there's another cheaper implement you recommend, potentially a sandbag. All right, well, this is I'm just playing the averages here, Spencer, so just bear with me here. I would, if you're going to, I would probably recommend a kettlebell because you could do swings, right, and snatches, and then dumbbell squats or kettlebell squats technically, right? I would probably recommend, and maybe someone could add in their 2 cents here, or their 3 cc's, as I like to call it, the 750 milligrams. Probably a 53 or a 70-pound kettlebell, depending on your strength level. You could do squats, swings, snatches with that, right? Now a sandbag, I don't know. I mean, I know people love the sandbag. I would, honestly, kettlebell would probably be best. But I don't know what the prices are. I know Rogue generally has fairly affordable kettlebells and stuff like that. I don't know the prices for the sandbag. I'm assuming they're much less than the kettlebell, right? You don't have to pay shipping and all that stuff. So personally, I would probably use some kind of kettlebell if I were you. But again, I don't know what weight would be best for you, 53 or 70. Good luck though, brother. All right. Here's another question from Spencer. Additionally, for conditioning, what intervals do you recommend using on the air bike? 10 seconds on or 30 seconds off? So generally what I would recommend, Spencer, is 10 really hard seconds of sprint. Now, that doesn't mean you ride fast. It means you ride as hard as you possibly can for those 10 seconds. How much you take off is going to, your just ride time, so to speak, your easy ride time. It's going to depend on you, right? So make things easier for me, I just do 10 seconds every minute on the minute. It's just much easier to keep track of that. I have a hard time doing all the math in my head, and I don't want to think at all when I'm training, right? That's one of the reasons why I wrote 5 through 1, why I do kind of walrus style training right now. But if you want to do, if you can handle 10 seconds on and 30 seconds off, and you can still do it at a high level, that's fine. But for me, I just do 10 seconds every minute. So, whatever that works out, usually I ride for about 20 seconds and I do it, 10 seconds, and I just rest all the way up until the next time around. So anyway, I hope that helps, man. Airdyne sprints, if you do them right, absolutely blow. All right. The other thing I should probably mention too, listen, your hard level on the air bike, just like anything else, is going to vary from day to day. So just please understand that. And the other thing I would highly recommend you do is this is not just for you, Spencer, this is for anyone. If you're doing 10 hard seconds on the Airdyne bike, and let's say you plan to do 10 hard sprints, right? Every minute on the minute. Let's say after 5, you're just done. You're fucking done. Get off the bike, rest. Let your body kind of get ready for it again. However long that takes, I don't know what it's going to be. And then complete the next 5 or however many you can until you feel like you can do it correctly. All right. So this is only really at the beginning. You guys who have done this before know, like, a lot of your performance is going to drop off if you're not ready for this. So just take some, again, if your last 5, for example, are going to be so horrible and half-assed, don't do it. Get off the bike, rest, and complete them, a couple minutes later. So Mariko Santana says, good morning. How's it going today? Today is awesome. It looks like a Midwestern day. This whole week feels very Midwestern. It's cold, it's dreary, it's gray and brown. And I absolutely love the fall in the Midwest. Absolutely love it. This is kind of where I grew up. It was weird when I lived in Arizona, right? The weirdest thing, I was in Phoenix one time. I went to school in Tucson, but I was in Phoenix, early mid-December, and I remember I was walking down the street and they were playing I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas over the intercom, and it was like a shopping center kind of place, and I was like, this is so weird. I was in flip-flops. I remember what I was wearing, just my shitty green shorts that I wore all the time and a white t-shirt, and I was like, oh my God, it's so weird to hear that. It's like 82 degrees out right now. So anyway, Richard Arias Quintero says, good morning, Jim. Well, good morning, Richard. Have a great weekend, or have a great Friday. Thank you. And how was the game last week? Again, we won last week, so we are on to the next team. We're playing this Friday, or today, I should say. Whew. I'm already nervous. I was nervous Wednesday night. I started pacing around, going bananas. So, all right. Richard says, hey, Jim, what made you want to be a strength coach for a high school football team? All right. Well, there's a lot of layers to this. I'm not going to bore everyone with everything. But there's the two main factors are, one, when I was in high school, that's where I feel I had the most mentorship and coaching and stuff that made the biggest difference in my life. That doesn't mean I didn't have great coaches, and Dan Worth was awesome for me at University of Arizona, awesome for everyone, but for me. But I still think in high school is where you can make the biggest difference. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I live in a very small town, reasonably small. There's, I think, 10,000 people. So it's not like, town of 400 or anything like that. And I think it's my duty as a adult human to help people around you, help your community as long as you have the means to do so. And this was the one thing I could do. I've told this before. My mom has always been huge on helping, and with her time, and her expertise was cooking. And I remember my mom fed the homeless for years and years and years. And but that's what she was good at. That's what she enjoyed. I don't want to do that. I fucking hate cooking, and I don't want to hang around bums. Sorry, I know that sounds really bad, but that wouldn't motivate me. What would motivate me is helping out a bunch of high school kids who deserve to have someone care about them. And I think as a community here in London, we have tons of parents that go out of their way to help. Not just the football team, but other teams as well. And the final thing, final two things is, one, I get to work for Kyle Cutler. Kyle, 1,000% trusts me. We're in constant communication. We are friends. I think that makes a giant difference. I think that's the dumbest thing is when, like, you know, your athletes in you know, so-and-so, they don't have to like you. They have to respect you. Listen, they got to like you too. All right. No one wants to work for someone they fucking hate. No one does. And I like working for Kyle. Kyle, and I'll tell a story sometime about Kyle finally trusting me, and I love that story. But Kyle trusts me, and I get to do kind of what I want to do. You don't get that kind of freedom. And on that same note, when you're working in the college sector, the NCAA, or obviously the NFL or anything like that, you have severe limitations. For high school, we don't. Now, we don't take advantage of the kids' time or anything like that. But I believe training should be consistent. I think it should be, need not be broken up into all these crazy things that the NCAA has to do because of time limitations. In high school, you have the whole year. You have 4 years. And I think that's, to me, I'm watching the kid, you know, come in as a, you know, the last semester of 8th grade, come into our program, and then their senior year. It's awesome what happens to them, and you get to be part of that. So, and there's, again, not a lot of limitations on what you can. So I hope that answers your question. There's a couple more layers to that, but I don't know. Listen, I never thought I would be here. I'll be completely honest. But I am, it has given me more than I've given it. That's the best way to say it. All right, here we go. I believe this is Ivan. Says, hey, I cut my finger a couple of days ago, so now I can't deadlift until it's at least somewhat healed. Okay. You know what you can do? I don't know how bad your finger cut is, but you can always wear straps. I've had some, obviously, when you play football and do some dumb stuff, you end up getting hurt, and that's always been a, it doesn't work all the time, but it certainly helps. So don't be afraid to use just double overhand, wear some straps. It may help you quite a bit. Judd the Stud says, I'm in Michigan, but I've been following your team on NFHS, and the last week's game was insane. Yes, it was. That's 2 weeks straight of these guys persevering to the end. So awesome. Bring the wood tonight. Yeah, the last 2 games have been just down to the wire, and unbelievable effort. So super proud. I don't know. It's crazy. It's, you know, I've always wanted to be part of like a downhill ass kicking football team that dudes just, you know, absolutely. I just love the run game. I love what it teaches the kids. There's a certain amount of pride that we have in that, I guess, and it's awesome to be part of that. So, and I think I believe that style of play goes deeper than just winning games. I'll just put it that way. All right, here we go. James Manning says, when transitioning from full body workouts with body weight, okay, and dumbbells to adding in the big 3, how do you suggest building into them slowly? I want to run 5 through 1, but don't want to max on anything yet. I've been training for busy and inconsistent men for a couple months, minus the main movements. All right, I feel like I'm ready to add them in now, but have no clue where to set my training max. All right, so I'd have to kind of see you train, James, but what I would do is, how did I do this? I think is I set the training max, so my 5-3-1 week, the heaviest set was a weight that was like 185 or something like that. I think maybe 205 would be the training max, but I'm not sure, something like that. So I just set the training max super low. I based it on the heaviest weight I would handle during the training week. Does that make sense? Or the training cycle. So I believe 145 on the bench. So I think your heaviest set would be 135. And I think 205 gives you, I have to do the math in my head, maybe 185 or something on the squat and deadlift. So I don't know if that's the numbers speak to you. But when someone's coming back from injury and they already have some strength, that's usually what we do. We just set it up. Again, we will cap the reps. We're not doing like sets of 50 or anything, but it allows you to get used to the movements with weights that you can handle, weights you can do properly. All right. So again, so what you need to do is, I believe it's, you take whatever weight that you want, let's say it's 135, and you divide it by 0.95, and you will get your training max, if that makes sense. That's the best advice I can give you. We've done that for years. And I believe my wife does a version of that with the junior high kids. So I'm not exactly sure how she does all that. But whatever, that's how we kind of do things. So set it using that instead of trying to max anything out. So that's the best advice that I can give you. And again, just the goal isn't to squat 5,000 pounds, right? It's just to do the movements. So again, I would cap those weeks, the final set of each week at maybe 10 to 15 or something, as long as every rep is solid. And then don't move up unless you feel like you're able to, and like you feel like you're comfortable. All right, it's not a race to add as much weight to the training max. It's a 4-year thing. So James, what I would say is November 21st, 2025. Listen, let's run a 4-year training program. So it's November 21st, 2029, and make that like your goal. So it's not for the year, it's not for 6 months, it's not 8 weeks, it's 4 years. And just build it slowly. And then obviously work on your, all the little shit, right? Now it's not little, but you're eating correctly, your conditioning and stuff like that. That's the best advice I can give you, man. 4 years. And the weird thing is, the more conservative and smart you are with that, the quicker you'll make gains, because you're not going to feel run down. It doesn't sound like it would, but it's true. All right, here we go. Mr. List 50. Okay. Some of your fucking names. So crazy. All right, I just lost my spot. I apologize here. Where am I? Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, Mr. List 50. All right, here we go. It says, Jim, I'm a former collegiate football player and powerlifter who let life get in the way the last few years. I get it. I'm now overweight and grossly out of shape. I respect it. But I can still handle a barbell and I've got a prowler. What's the simplest, smartest way to rebuild strength and conditioning without doing something dumb or trying to train like the guy I used to be? All right, so I'm going to say this. I say this all the time. This is the best guess I have. Again, I'd have to work with you personally, and see how you lift. And that might give me a wildly different answer. But let's just stick with the basics. Let's lift 3 days a week. So let's just say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Non-negotiable, right? Unless you got something fucked up going on with your life, you can only train 2 days a week. Let's just do 3. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you do some kind of conditioning. We'll get to that, okay? So, all right. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this is what I want you to do. I want to bench press on Monday. I want you to choose some kind of lower body lift on Wednesday, and you can alternate those or just do one. All right, so bear with me. And I would recommend, the deadlift, the trap bar, squat, box squat, safety bar squat, something for your lower body, something you want to do. All right, don't worry about what you used to do, just something you want to do. And then on Friday, let's use the press as your main lift. Okay, so we got that. Now, the assistance, again, this would vary from person to person, but I would highly recommend you just do a full body style of assistance. You don't have to kill yourself in the beginning. So all we're doing right now, Mr. List 50, is just being consistent. So you just do the work that you can and that allows you to recover. You don't have to go nuts. So on each day, I want you to choose 3 assistance movements. All right, 3 assistance movements. Some kind of upper body push, right? Dumbbell press, dumbbell overhead press, inclines, push-ups, dips, whatever. Tricep push down, something like that. Some kind of upper body pull, lat pull downs, low rows, any kind of row or chin up or lat pull down or curl. And then something for your lower body or abs. So that could be dumbbell squats, it could be lunges, it could be crunches, it could be leg raises, anything like that, back raises. Just choose one movement in each category for each day. I would probably start with 2 to 4 sets, maybe 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps. Again, the goal isn't to go bananas, Mr. List 50. It's just to get the work done and establish some kind of habit that allows you to get in and out of the weight room and still get going. So that's right. So we're good on that. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, bench, let's just say trap bar and overhead press. All right. Don't have to go crazy on the training maxes or anything like that. Don't worry about, hey, I used to deadlift 600 pounds. I don't care. I don't care if your top set on the trap bar is 225. Who cares? It doesn't matter now. All right. Cannot overemphasize that enough. on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's 4 days now, I want you to mostly walk. Treadmill outside would be preferable, right? Right. So all 3 of those days are let's say 3 of those days you walk. And on one day, if you want to use the prowler, go ahead and use it. All right. Again, I don't want you puking or doing anything dumb. Maybe 10, 30 to 40 yard sprints. Take as much rest as you need. Just something to keep you because I know how you are, right? Football player, you want to do something fucking crazy. That's fine. But that's just 1 day a week. The rest of the time, let's just get your body moving and walking. All right. You can ride a bike too, stationary bike, anything like that. Okay. Are we clear so far? All right. So let's just write that shit down. Doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't need to work every angle of your body. The goal is just to fucking move and what I call door kickers and pipe hitters. That's it. Just try and get there. All right. We have to start at this point. The other thing is you're going to have to find a way to eat better. Now, this doesn't mean you go full fucking bananas, right? From the get-go. Just figure out what are your shit foods that are kind of holding you back, and let's try to eliminate them or use much less of them, right? So, for example, let's say you like to drink soda, right? Fucking stop drinking soda, go to diet soda or something like that. If you eat ice cream 5 days a week, let's just have ice cream 2 days a week. All right. You don't have to make this grand change where everything goes to shit, because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to do it for a week and then you're going to just start eating ice cream all the time. So that's my advice to you. All right. The only thing that I will say, Mr. List 50, is if you have addict tendencies, I would, my good friend Vincent very much loves to eat. If you have, it's probably best to cut out one of those bad things, like the sugar things. Just cut it right out. Now I know this goes in defiance of what I said prior, but some people you just got to get rid of it right away. All right, and just go cold turkey, so to speak. The other one thing I did to eliminate sweets in my diet, now I still eat some, is I eat an obnoxious amount of fruit and vegetables, but I love apples. I absolutely love them. So instead of just eating 1 apple, I'll have 3. And dude, I'm full. I don't want to eat anything else. So obviously I'll have my protein source and some carbs, but I'll just eat more of something, and it kind of eliminates it, and you're not eating that many calories. So stuff like that. So you're going to find your ways to work around. The other thing, man, and I wish more people would say this, is if you like to eat, I love apples, I love grapes, stuff like that. That's what I eat. I don't eat fruits and vegetables, and I fucking hate seafood, so I'm not eating salmon. I know they tell you to eat salmon, but I'm not going to eat it. So I just worry about, eat the things I want to eat, so to speak, that are healthy. So, but what I would do, Mr. List 50, is get a sheet of paper, or some kind of I don't know if it's in my backpack right now, I think. I have a spiral notebook. It's, I don't know, it's 4x6 or something like that. I carry it around wherever I go, and that's where I make all my notes. I went through a giant one, and it's everything from training ideas for me, for the athletes. I wrote down albums I love, check out this album. It's just my note keeping thing. Get something like that, or just even a plain piece of paper, but I love carrying stuff around with me and making notes. And write down non-negotiables. I'm going to do this. I do this all the time with my training. This is I did this recently up until the turn of the new year. These are the things I am going to do, and I don't get to change them at all. Right? This is the non-negotiables up until January 1st, just to see how my body responds. So I would put that down on a piece of paper. They don't have to be super, maybe make 5 of them, right? And so, for example, listen, I'm going to walk X amount of miles every week. I'm going to lift weights 3 days a week. And I am going to have X, Y, and Z at every meal, regardless. Maybe make something like that, something that you can read and carry around with you to remind you of how important this shit is to you. Listen, you played football and you lifted weights. I guess I'm going to assume you're a competitive powerlifter. You have the discipline, right? You got the work ethic to do all this stuff. So now you need to refocus that, and instead of being, college football player, let's turn yourself into something else, something more awesome than you ever thought possible. And that's the best way I know how to do it. I had to get out of that, and I did fairly easy for me to get out of those mindsets, because I always get hyper focused on what I want. And it's easy for me to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know why. I never really held on, so to speak, to my identity. So visualize yourself as something else. Okay. That's the best advice I can give you about that. So, but good luck, buddy. Feel free to get back on or ask me a question, either, on Instagram here, on the forum, stuff like that. So I hope that helps, buddy. Good luck, man. And listen, you honestly don't need fucking luck. You just need to put your foot down, get your head down, and just start being a slave to the process, not the goal. Be a slave. Like, listen, today we're going to do this. That's all I worry about, is like, after this, I got to go to the school to pick up my passes. That's the only thing I'm worried about after this, right? But right now, I am here. I'm doing the best I can. So little chunks in your day. Don't worry about the big picture. Just worry about doing the best you can at whatever you got in front of you. Okay, what should I do about a late novice whose deadlift is very weak off the ground but has a stupid strong lockout? He keeps doing deficit pulls and shit like that, but I believe it's a mental thing, as he just gives up the moment he feels how heavy the weight is in his hands. Thank you, boss. All right. Generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of attacking weak points unless someone's very, very strong. And then we start nitpicking. So, but generally speaking, getting weight off the ground is usually legs, right? Super strong legs, bear with me. Explosive. I mean, you can't just jerk the weight off the ground, obviously, but you got to be strong off the ground, strong with your legs off the ground, and your midsection, back and front, needs to be strong enough to maintain your body position that you can push with extreme force, or I guess pull, but you're pushing your legs through the ground, right? So if I was his trainer or coach or whatever the fuck you want to call me, we would do a ton of leg work, leg press. There's a million things. We call it dumb leg strength. You can look that up. So I would do something like that, right? Obviously, abs and low back we would attack. The other thing I would train with weights in the deadlift that allow him to complete the workout. I'm not going to put weight on the bar that he cannot handle correctly. And I think that kind of repetitive using the proper load really, really helps. All right. So I hope that makes sense. So again, dumb leg strength, 1 time a week, generally speaking, maybe twice if you can handle that. And then abs and low back, super strong. And then just be patient with the loading on the deadlift. All right. Everyone's going to have like a weird sticking point or something on the deadlift. And everyone says, but you're just not strong enough to do that. And the best way to do that is to train with the proper weights and to let the strength come instead of trying to force it so much. So I hope that helps. I don't know. I just see things a lot differently now that I'm working with, I guess you would say obviously beginners, but they've been training with me for 4 years. It's a magic what we can do if we do the stuff better, not just more, or there's like some secret workout thing like that. I don't know if that makes sense. We just strive on doing things better. And there's going to be plateaus, guys. You're not going to be going up all the time. Right? You got to weather the storm. You might have to back off a little bit. But for the most part, we just concentrate on doing shit better. Better, more aggressive, more intense, stuff like that. Nantucket says, can you talk about your history with Dave Tate and Elite FTS? Yeah, I'll give you a brief overview. I don't know what year I met Dave. Maybe 2000 or something, 2001. I met him, and I had already known of Dave and known of Louis Simmons and stuff like that, so I got to meet him. When I met him, we had an instant, bond. Obviously, I was lifting heavy. He's, the king of awesomeness. And I was coaching at the time at the University of Kentucky. I was a GA intern there, whatever you want to call it. And long story short, after a couple days, Dave asked me, he found out I was an English major. He said, "Can you write?" I said, "Not only can I write, but I've written about 50 different articles." I was preparing for this kind of moment my whole life, I guess. I had already done a lot of work knowing that this is kind of what I wanted to do. I sent him over a whole bunch of stuff. He put it up. I go to a powerlifting meet, the IPA Nationals in Columbus. Again, I don't remember the year, maybe 2001 or so. I totaled 1905 in my first meet. Again, it's a little, I had already been lifting forever, so it's not like I had just started lifting weights or anything. Dave called me, so that was on I guess I competed on a Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember what day I competed. He calls Monday or Tuesday. I'm at home in Kentucky, and he asked if I'd like to be part of the Q&A. So that's how we started. From there, I went with Dave to seminars. We would both do the seminars together after about a year or so of me doing the Q&As. And then in, I believe, 2003, Dave called me up and said, "Hey, do you want a full-time job with Elite FTS?" I said, "Hell yeah." And that's how it all started. So, we just kind of had I won't say a chance meeting, but we met. And, Dave and Louie, but especially Dave has been, I was thinking about this the other day when I was lifting. I'm like, how much good Dave has done for so many people, including me, that he didn't have to do. And I still think, again, we talk about giving back to the community. That's what Dave did for me. I'm not necessarily doing for someone else exactly, but I am trying to give back to people, to be of service, so to speak. So, and there's a ton of people like me that Dave has helped and reached out to that, he didn't have to. So that's the thing. And, Dave and I, I don't talk to a lot of people all the time. So, but if Dave needs something, needs anything, he can just reach out to me and it's done. So that's the best way I can say it. So, Barrel Tactical. Fucking tactical, bro. Says, "Hey boss, thoughts on Kill Switch Engage? I do not like them at all. I respect them as musicians. I have nothing. I'm not one of those guys anymore that they fucking suck. But yeah, it's not my style, buddy. Not my style." All right, here we go. Oh boy. I'm just going to say Mr. Romero says, "I learned for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu comps, it wasn't about winning. It was just about training. Just wanted to share that. I'm currently doing 5-3-1 once or twice a week. I'm just happy to be training to train. That being said, thank you, Jim." Yeah, there's a lot to be said. We talked about being in the moment, and I still, obviously I have goals and I have challenges I do, but for me, training is just such a huge part of my life. It's a huge part of our family's life, right? Everyone trains here every single day doing something. They have to. And it's just, I like what it teaches me about myself. I like to challenge myself. And there's just something about it. There's something about the process that puts me at peace. So it's not about, like sniffing ammonia and bashing my head on the wall or anything like that. It's about kind of digging deep and challenging myself physically and seeing what I got left in me. It's awesome. Mr. Hayes. But so thank you, Mr. Romero. I appreciate that, man. And good luck with BJJ. I couldn't imagine what that would do to my shoulders. Oh, dude, someone would put me in an arm bar for about 4 seconds. I would just tap. I got nothing left in my left shoulder. Says, "Good morning, Jim," does Mr. Hayes. "Congratulations on a great season so far." Thank you very much, Mr. Hayes. Thoughts on how to bring back a warrior mindset to high school kids nowadays? I hate to say it, but some of the kids I coach are soft. That's correct. Listen, I get asked like a lot of, I don't do seminars anymore or anything like that much. But one of the main things I got was like, how do you get the kids to buy in and all this other stuff? And I don't have a good answer for that. I really don't, because I really think that comes with the head coach. I really do. The head football coach. So one of the things I think really helps though is when I'm training the kids, you know, I have ex-kid, right? Total fucking dude. He's been training hard for 3 years, 2 years, just going balls. Diet's all good to go. I train him differently than I would train a kid who's maybe has zero training background or very little, you know, maybe doesn't have that sport mindset. I just train them differently. And what I mean by that is the kid who is the door kicker, I can challenge him on some crazy shit, right? That's all. Other kids, I give them challenges that they can handle. All right, I'm not expecting this one kid over here to train exactly like this one over here. He needs to develop that because this door kicker here, he wasn't always like this. So I think the most important thing is you challenge them physically with things that you know they can handle and they can win, so to speak. Still has to be difficult and stuff like that. But I really think that you stack enough good challenging days on top of each other for these kids, I think good things can happen. All right. I am always generally very positive with the kids. Even when I'm, quote, negative, I'll take a kid aside. I had to do this season. And I said, listen, I'm not going to yell at you, but I really think you're shortchanging yourself with your effort and all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm here to make you better. So what do you think happened? This kid started training harder, understood, like it comes from a coaching thing of caring and love, so to speak. Now, I know that's not everyone's like, you got to lock him in a fucking cage, feed him raw meat. It doesn't work like that. And I don't think it ever worked like that. I think people have think that like these are all like Vietnam vets who are all gristled or anything. But again, give the kids hard physical challenges for them that they can handle. And I had one kid one year who was very, very overweight. We were doing some running stuff. And I would run with him. And when we would run, instead of covering 100 yards, which he couldn't do, him and I would run to the 10, and then we'd walk to the 20, and then like, fuck, let's run. Let's go to the 50, right? So we would run to the 50 and walk. Then we would cross the field. I said, let's just run to the goalpost. So little stuff like that. And all of a sudden, he's able to make it around. It takes time, but he was able to make it around. He's able to make progress. Now, for a lot of kids, they can run 5,000 laps and sprint them all. They're fine. But this particular kid couldn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want him out of the program. I want him in the program because I think good things can happen to people when you give them a chance and give them stuff that they can handle. But the worst thing you can do is compare kid A with kid B, right? Door kicker with door stop. Look at that. I just came up with that shit. I hope that makes sense to you. But I think that does. And when those kids have that success, Mr. Hayes, I think they start feeling more confident. I think they feel better about themselves. Their self-esteem goes up. All that stuff works, but it takes time, okay? It takes time. And I think the better physically one feels, right? The more confidence you have, and I think they start thinking of themselves, quote unquote, as a warrior, so to speak. But it takes time. The worst thing you could do is take the kid who's not very athletic or anything like that and just beat the shit out of him, because that doesn't help anyone. And, that's one of the reasons why, some of these kids, like, you need to care about them, all right? A lot of these kids, let's just be honest, are not going to, many of them might not contribute at all, but that doesn't mean that their training's any less important. Not to me, at least, all right? So, Otto van Schoon says, that hat rocks. Where can a humble mortal such as myself acquire one? I don't think we sell these anymore. I'm sure anyone that owns a business knows that after the pandemic, everything kind of went to shit. The supply chain, and we just have trouble with some of this stuff. It's picked back up, obviously, but it's certainly not the same. So I don't know. This thing, let me tell you, it's about 3 weeks from smelling like absolute dog shit. I'm just at that point. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll sell some hats. Again, I love this hat. That's why I'm going to be very sad when it's gone. I still have the black 531 patch hat. I think I have like 20 of them or something. So whenever Mason's in town and we're pushing the prowler in the cold, he always gets one of the hats because he doesn't want Dad's hat. Ugh. All right, here we go. Richard, Mr. Quintero says, what do you think about changing your grip every week for exercises like pull-ups, inverted rows, and lat pull-downs? We do it between every single set. So I'm all for it. We always change our grips. Just do different shit. So yes. What do I think about it? Thumbs up, brother. He asks, for the bench press, should the bar path go straight up or in a diagonal, like an inverted J? Which path is better so you don't stress your shoulders? Well, part of that is going to be dependent on your grip. The wider the grip, the more of a J thing, like a J, right? And the closer your grip, the more it's going to be in a straight line. So that would widely depend on your grip width, right? And then obviously, the wider you are, the lower your hit on your chest because of your elbow tuck. The narrower your grip, the more your elbows will be slightly out compared to obviously wide, right? So, but I always teach the kids, we always use a thumb grip from Smooth unless they're smaller and they have to use a little narrow grip. Thumbs grip from Smooth, and we want to press slightly towards the rack. And when I'm working with a kid and like I spot him on the bench press, if I can get him to press a little bit back towards his head, 100% of the time they get it. Once they learn how to bench press correctly, as long as they can get off their chest and kind of transition, as long as they get it back up there, I've seen it happen a million times. And so yes, I guess inverted J, the best way to say it. So, all right, here we go. Mr. 5050 says, good morning, boss. Good morning, Mr. 5050. How do you manage your off-season program with athletes who play other sports? I work in a school and coach in an area that every year each sport is starting to pressure kids to specialize in one sport. So for the most part, most of those kids will train with us in the off season. If they don't, they're expected to get their training in, and they will either talk to me or talk to Cutler, the head coach. We do not have a problem with specialization at all, because Kyle put his foot down and said, this is important to our program. It's important to your program that our kids are physically fit. This is how it goes. It has a struggle, but Kyle is very much a despot with that stuff. Doesn't mean he doesn't want the kids playing other sports. It just means this is an important part of their physical development. It needs to be, that's how it goes. All right. So I believe, Mr. 5050, that that is on the head coach, right? And he needs to work something out with the other coaches. Now, that's just my personal opinion, because it's like the general telling everyone what to do, and then the brand new lieutenant trying to do, he has all the power, and those coaches need to work together and needs to be understood. So I don't have to deal with any of that. And thankfully, it's because Kyle is such a great leader, and there's expectations of our football players. Magically, I'm sure I'm not going to blow anyone's mind with it. There's, general physical preparedness is great for any sport. So those kids will perform at a high level regardless. All right. Now, obviously, there's kids that slip through the cracks, and I'm going to tell you, they do not develop like the other kids, and not just, they might be talented, but they're leaving a lot on the table. So again, I know I'm a dick to say this. That's not my job, is to go talk to other coaches. My job is to get the kids physically ready to kick ass. So anyway, I apologize. I don't have a really good thing. But listen, to me, those coaches that don't want them training or playing another sport are fucking assholes. 100%. So, and they're just limiting the kids, and they're doing so because their own ego is so big that they can't understand that. And they're not for the kids, they're only for themselves. Mr. Hayes says, thoughts on the band I just stumbled on, Leech Milk. I love Leech Milk. I have a couple of their splits I will probably put on here. So yeah, absolutely love them. Killer guitar tone. Have you ever heard of them? Yes. It reminds me a little of Crowbar. I don't know about that, buddy. I think they're much different than Crowbar, at least to my ears. So, but Leech Milk were part of that original wave of sludge in the 90s. Some really good bands that kind of got, unless you're a part of that scene, so to speak, kind of get lost. So, but yeah, love leech milk. Ooh, in fact, leech milk was on our team's playlist for the off season. So, kids listen to leech milk. All right, here we go. Mr. Whiteley says, "Hey, balls, any thoughts on programming for a high school age competitive jiu-jitsu team? I was thinking 2-day-a-week Krypteia and maybe 1 to 2 hard conditioning sessions after practice." So here's a couple things, Ryan. There's levels of this, all right? So, for example, let's say, oh my God, the young man or gentleman who was a competitive football player, he asked a question earlier tonight, or today, I should say, today. All right, a little overweight, wants to get back into training. That style of training, the Krypteia style, is not appropriate for him. Okay, so please, I'm not saying your kids are not prepared, but just understand that may not be great for them. Okay, it needs to be kind of developed. At least in the way that we do it, it needs to be developed, and it takes some time. Do I think it's awesome? Yes, but I also think that if you're doing all these, practicing, especially if you're going to jiu-jitsu, rolling and stuff 5-6 days a week, I don't know if that's the best thing for them, because it might be a little too stressful. All right, it sounds like a good idea, but it may not be appropriate for them. So what I would probably do is have so you bench one day, right, and trap bar the other, and then you have your assistants. If the kids are looking good and feeling good, yes, you can do the Krypteia program. If not, we're just having a good solid day of training and getting out of there. That's the best advice I can give you. Now, as far as, so what I'm trying to say, Ryan, is it's appropriate sometimes. It's not going to be appropriate all the time, and you have to make that call, because what's most important isn't the lifting that day, it's their skill work, right? And you can still get really strong and really raise their GPP by just doing a basic training program. Please understand that. 1 to 2 hard conditioning sessions after practice. Again, Ryan, I don't know if that's appropriate. I don't know how hard they're rolling, but remember that they have a very limited things of recovery. I'm not worried about their central nervous system. I'm worried that kids stay up late, right? And they're burning the candle on a bunch of different ends, stuff like that. So I don't know if that's going to be appropriate. So again, I don't know how often they practice, because that comes into play too. But just understand that it's not always going to be appropriate, even if you like, listen, we got to do this on this week. Fuck, they'll run this shit down. Like next week, I already have an idea of what we're going to do, but it might change based on what the kids look. But we always try to get 2 good days of training in. How that looks might be a little bit different from week to week, and you need to understand that, Ryan. The most important thing is their skill work and that they get better. Obviously, raising their GPP is part of that, but it's not always, you can't always press that pedal down all the time. So, Ivan says, I can never get my squat form right, constantly adjusting stance with low bar or high bar, how much to angle my toes, how to get it right for once, how to stop having to relearn every week. I think that, I don't know what I can tell you personally, without me being there. But you need to stop fucking thinking so much and just squat the barbell. People get so weird about low bar, high bar, all that stuff and stance. I mean, as long as it looks solid, I think you're going to be fine. All right. A lot of strong dudes have front squatted. A lot of strong dudes have low barred. A lot of strong dudes have high barred. So my advice is stop thinking so much and just be aggressive and build the lower body. That's the best advice I can give you. And I see it all the time when I work with kids, and we got a big room and stuff. And then if I work with a kid personally, just in that set, magically they get better because they're not nitpicking all the little stuff. We're just doing 1 or 2 things. Like, listen, all I want you to do is grip that bar hard. That's the main thing. I want you to get as low as, that's proper, good depth, but we're just squeezing the bar and I just want fucking effort. So we don't start doing all this stuff. We're like, oh, we have to have our hands here, then we're doing this and that. We basically have 1 cue and then be aggressive. 1 cue and then be aggressive. All right. I think way too many people treat weight training, especially, if you want to get stronger and all that stuff, like it's science class or something like that. You got to dip into like that dumb part of your brain and just go for it. And when you do that, Yes, technique is still important, but stop. It's not the only thing that's important, guys. So you're going to have to change your attitude and your understanding of training and realize that squatting, and I hate to say this, is not this super complex thing. All right. I'm not asking you to split an atom. I'm not asking you to, you know, cover DK Metcalf or anything like that, or, you know, to block Aaron Donald. I'm asking you to put something on your back and go doot, 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 doot. That's it. So stop thinking so much. Get aggressive. Just be a dude. All right. Stop trying to math when you lift weights. So, but Ivan, it's attitude and it's aggression. That's what you need. That best thing I can tell you. All right. I don't know what this guy's name is, but it ends with 9773. He says, I'm using 5 through 1 sets and reps pyramid. Thoughts on dropping the 5 sets of 10 at 50% to 3 sets? That's fine. No issue with that, brother. All right, here goes Richard Wigand. Man, I knew a guy named Bobby Wigand. I don't know if that's spelled the same way. All right. Says, my son cannot free squat very well for some reason, but can box squat just fine. His coach won't let him box squat. Do you ever let kids box squat rather than free squat? Hell yes. Hell yes. This goes to what we were kind of talking about earlier. Listen, I have no allegiance to any kind of squat. Fuck, I don't even have an allegiance to the squat anymore. My goal is to get the kid strong, okay? And if that means we're going to box squat, fuck, we're just doing it, all right? If that means we've never had this, but let's say if the kid front squatted incredibly well, but back squatted like shit, you're front squatting, good luck. I don't care that much. I think when you get tied to that stuff, it gets very weird, all right? Very weird. Especially when you're coaching giant groups of athletes with a lot of different body types. So yes, we have, I think, 3 or 4 kids, I think, box squat. And they, you know, we adjust the box height to make sure that they can do it correctly. So I'm not like, it has to be parallel. Has to be, or you're going to die if you don't hit parallel. No, box height is whatever it is for them to squat correctly. I am not tied to that. In fact, I talked to a kid the other day. We are doing some, again, I talked about this. We're going to do some different stuff this off season. And I told him, he's a very mature kid. I said, listen, I think it's my estimation. There's a lot of reasons for this, and it's not your fucking business, but there's a lot of reasons. I think you're going to leg press better. I think you will get stronger, put on more muscle if we leg press you instead of squat. My only hesitation, I told him this, I said, are you okay with leg pressing because you're not in the big squat groups? And I'm like, I have no problems with you saying no, but it's my estimation that I believe. And he said, hell yeah, let's do it. So we did a trial run through of showing him some of the different stuff. Because again, I'm not going to be able to see everything he does. So I'm trying to coach him up on how to be his own coach, so to speak. I am 100% believe that this is going to work very well for him. So I'm super pumped up. So the answer to your question, Richard, is hell yes. All right. Why I would never want to hold back a kid because it's my own ego, so to speak. Yeah. So, all right, here we go. Garhouse says, good morning, Jim. Good morning. I just restuffed a new 100-pound Muay Thai heavy bag. I hope that means what it means, brother. I'm going to start throwing in 3 to 6 boxing and kicks for conditioning. Sound good? Yes. Yes. And again, I'll be honest, Garhouse, to me, I wouldn't consider that conditioning. I mean, I'm sure it might be is. I don't know what you meant through. But I think it's important that you put your body in do different shit. Get your body good at all kinds of different stuff. There's a heavy bag at this gym I go to. I fucking kick it. I'm sure my technique sucks, but I'm like, this just like something I want to do. I'm just going to be physically better. I do like, I don't know how many I did. Just a couple times a week. Go in there, kick it, 20 times each leg, and then I'm on. But man, it helps your hips, right? You're doing different stuff, getting physically better. Doesn't mean everyone has to go kick something. But don't be afraid to do, I do fucking agility drills in my yard. I look like an absolute asshole. I don't care. I am just training my body to be physically better. All right. Oh my God, MB Power. I thought you were saying you were Jimmy Bauer for a second. Jimmy Bauer, the king of the guitar for me, says, hey Jim, love your stuff. Thank you. I just heard about the boring but strong challenge, but don't know how much about it. Can you explain how this works? Yeah, you just take your first set, you do all your sets, your regular 5-3-1 sets, then you drop down to your first set and do 10 sets of 5. That's it. Pretty simple. So yeah, it's not terribly, and generally speaking, we usually superset those 10 sets, but you don't have to. So for example, if it's on bench press and press day, we usually do some kind of chin up. And on squat and deadlift day, we usually do push-ups or dips. So that way you just increase your general physical preparedness. So, all right, Mr. Romero says, hey, a typo in an earlier message. That lesson I got from powerlifting and after reading your 5-through-1, the concept to train and not necessarily training to compete. Yes, don't get me wrong. Yes, I love competing too, man. But there is something magical in pushing your body and doing little stuff every day. Remember how I talked about how to develop the warrior attitude? Like, I am not expecting myself to squat 1,000 pounds again, but I'm going to give myself little challenges. I have big challenge, but every day I'm like, listen, I think I can be able to do this. And now it's not groundbreaking, but I think that really does help. All right, it really does help. And it might be small. One of the things I did, for example, is, I look at my watch, maybe I've got 2 more rounds to go. I'm like, dude, I think I can finish these 2 rounds in 90 seconds. Let's fucking go and do it. All right, so it's not anything groundbreaking, but I think those little challenges of training really carry over to every part of your life. All right, here we go. Scramble-am. What do you think about someone like Bill Romanowski, who played for 16 years and didn't miss a game? I just lost my spot. I apologize. Oh boy. I apologize. All right. Romanowski played for 16 years, didn't miss a game. He played the game violently, which had hard practices back then. He seems like an exception. Yeah, part of that, let's just be honest, part of that is genetic, and part of that is him doing the right things and keeping his body healthy. And the other part of it is him being able to play through pain. So I don't know what his body feels like now, but listen, there's always a price to pay. All right, you have to be okay with paying that price. I told Mason and I, when we talk every single day, but Mason and I were talking, I said, I paid the price and I'm okay with that price. And I knew I was going to have to pay a price. But I'm never going to regret or back away from pain. Let's just put it from paying the price. I think that's, or tell anyone that they shouldn't do it. I think that's ridiculous. All right, here we go. Good morning, Jim. Would you say that supplementing the barbell bench press with a horizontal machine chest press for the main work is a good option? I tend to play it safe on the AMRAP sets on barbells. So you say supplementing. So you're still going to bench press is what you're saying, but you're going to do some supplemental work or additional work on the horizontal machine chest press, right? I think that's what you're asking. If it is, I think it's a great idea. Listen, whatever assistance you do, just pound the shit out of it, have some fun, and I think machines, body weight, kettlebells, dumbbells, anything is awesome. Use whatever you have at your disposal. At your disposal. Use whatever you want to do. Have some fun. Obviously, you have a lot of leeway in how we do our assistance work. Go ahead and get it done. I would not, as long as you can bench press, that's fine. You don't have to go nuts on some of that stuff, but on the obviously machine work, body weight work, you can go a little bananas. That's what we do at London with our assistance work. Our barbells are fast and strong. Our assistance is harder. We can take that stuff to failure. So there you go. This is my, what's your name? Mortal Man. You get the thumbs up, brother. Mr. Romero says, I hit a 575-pound squat in competition at 25 years old. As a single man. Okay, he got married, 2 kids later, full-time job. I hit a PR front squat of 200 pounds for 5 reps. Honestly, I was more happy about that than my past lifts. There you go, brother. That's awesome. Congratulations. All right, here we go. James Manning, appreciate you. Thank you, buddy. Mr. Nadim says, hello, Jim. My personal best with overhead press is 80 kilograms for 3. I developed a cervical issue due to spinal compression and forced to take a break. I recently started running 5 through 1 FSL and I'm already at 70 kilograms for 5. Okay. I don't know if there's more to this, brother. That's awesome, buddy. Just take care of your back, bud. Take care of your back. All right, don't do anything, let your strength develop in other areas too. That's the best thing I can tell you. That's one of the things I think we do very well is we don't just squat, bench, and trap bar. We do other lifts, a lot of different weird variations. We get our entire body strong, not just in the weight room. We're doing other shit too. I think, again, we talk about kicking a fucking heavy bag. Dude, there's nothing worse than me kicking a heavy bag. Nothing. It's fucking gross. I make sure no one's watching. I don't care. That's one thing I got. Just doesn't look like an idiot. Anyway, all right, here we go. Mr. Rosario says, good morning, Jim. Happy Friday. Thank you. I'm running Rhodes 5x531 anchor. How many reps should I aim for on my last week? We usually, generally, I like to get sets of 10 on the squat and deadlift at least, and sets of 8 on the bench press and the press. That's or 7 to 8, somewhere in there. So that's what I would probably recommend. Might be a little bit different for you, so don't, that's just how I would do it. Mortal Man says, I noticed my top sets are always between the 12 and 20 range. I do like the feeling of pushing for that many reps, but does this mean I'm lifting too light? Well, let's put it this way, Mr. Mortal Man. What if you were squatting 500 for 20? Is that too light? So I don't know what you're squatting and deadlifting and pressing, right? So it would depend on how much weight you're using. I think you're doing fine. Push the assistance. Don't be in such a rush to increase your training max and all that other stuff. It seems like you're probably making progress. Stay on the right track. But when we're training kids to be strong, explosive, and all that stuff, that's what we generally do with our top sets. We're always, doesn't mean all of our sets are bananas, but we try to cap it around 15. So I think you're fine. Heavyweight, appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Again, you don't have to do that, man, but thank you. It's humbling because, trust me, I know how this shit goes, brother. So thank you. I see your message, so I appreciate it. Stay safe, brother. Stay healthy, As they say, the best ability is availability. All right, here we go. Mr. Mortal Man says, and for upper days, it is better to split the assistance workouts like chest and back and shoulders or arms are just different upper body exercises hitting the same muscle groups. Okay, so this is an extension of the other question. It gets kind of, listen, the answer, Mortal Man, is there's not an answer. Okay, he's asking about assistance work on your upper body days. Should it be like chest and back for one and shoulders and arms for the other? You can if you want. I don't think that there's anything that's 100% foolproof, so to speak, that's going to work for everyone. So what I like to do, like when one of the kids on the football team did, we worked on his bench press in season. We said, listen, we're going to get stronger on the bench press during the season. So what we did is on Monday, we did our trap bar, but that was our shoulder day, so to speak. So we always did upper body press. We always did our lat work, right? Chin-ups, upper back work, but shoulders was the main focus, so to speak. On Wednesday, we bench pressed. We always did some kind of bench, some kind of barbell pressing for the most part. And then we did a lot of tricep work with supersetted, with our full range dumbbell work or push-ups or dips. So it was do as many dips as you can, and then, or let's say 15 dips, and then we went over did band tricep pushdowns for 20, 30 reps, rested a minute or two, and then just repeated that. So we are still doing full body style training, right? We still did lat work that day too, but we had an emphasis, so to speak. So that's kind of what I would do if I were you. But I don't think, Mortal Man, that you need to just choose one. All right. The important thing is that you're doing some work, you're doing it consistently, and then don't be afraid to change if you want to change. So the answer is not one thing, and it never will be. Okay. You have to understand that. Yeah, okay, I appreciate that, Mr. Romero. Thank you. Space Battleship Alex says, "Hey Jim, great message. I agree with you that we're all obliged, if able, to be stewards of our communities. Also, yeah, listen, it's not doesn't mean everyone should do it because not everyone, like you said, is able to do it. But I believe if you can, help others." All right, here we go. On one of your prior chats, you mentioned partial range of motion movements for older lifters. Could these movements be used for main lifts occasionally? Yes. Now, just so we're clear, like a lot of people I think would benefit from a higher box squat. I think their bodies would just feel better, or maybe high handles on the trap bar. All right, but I don't know if I would only. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All right. That's, now if possible, like a lot of people who have shoulder issues might have to use a football bar or maybe, some kind of floor press or anything like that. Yes. So yes, it could be done. So my deadlift is 120 kilograms. How to increase? Well, this is pretty easy. It's simple. So one, we increase our one arm row. The absolute dead standard is half your body weight, right? Dumbbell row, single arm dumbbell rows. Half your body weight, 20 reps is the bare minimum. You should be able to get 35 to 50. That'll help increase your grip strength, help increase your lockout, just be a big traps, big upper back. Number two is you have to have an iron midsection, right? Abs and low back. Back 45-degree back extensions or back extensions. Get it to the point where you're able to do at least 95 pounds on your back, or we actually put it on our neck for sets of 10, 5 sets of 10 or something like that. Ab work, I don't know what you can do for ab work. It's always, you should be able to do straight leg raises for sets of 20. Ab wheel with a 20-pound vest for 50 reps. You don't have to do it like all the time, but that should be the standard. And then I always use 5 sets of 10 on the Roman chair sit-up with a 45-pound plate behind my head for 5 sets of 10. Now, I'm not saying you do those, okay, but that's the kind of ab strength I think, and low back strength, I think people need to aspire to getting to, okay? Number 3 is you got to build up your leg strength, and I think that needs to be done. We call it dum-dum leg strength. I think you need to tap into that lizard part of your brain and go bananas. So that means choosing from a wide variety of exercises other than the barbell squat, and that means leg press. What's the other leg thing? Boop-a-doo. Oh my God. Leg press, hack squat on the machine, walking lunges with the weight vest or dumbbells or anything like that. Any prowler pushes, sleds, stuff like that, and doing it at such a level that it's absolutely insane. I really believe that leg strength is the key to not just longevity in life, but to getting big fucking lifts. You gotta have strong, dum-dum strong legs. So those 3 things I think are super important. Rowing, ab and low back strength, and increase your leg strength to an insane degree. And that final thing, guys, you're gonna have to go a little nuts. Trust me, it's not a very fun time. Training your legs is not enjoyable in the moment, so to speak. You may enjoy it afterwards, but it's a horrible feeling. Here we go. Mr. Hamster says, "Hey Jim, I currently started boring but big with 3 main lifts: bench, a trap bar, deadlift, and chin-ups. How much assistance would you recommend?" Probably, I don't know how in shape you are, but maybe on your your trap bar day, I would probably recommend no more than abs and low back. On your bench and day, I would recommend probably 2 exercises, mostly pulling. I would do all your bench, every single bench set you do from warm up should be done with some pull-ups. And then I think you should row also on that day. And then chin-ups, I think you should overhead press and maybe do some tricep work or something like that. So maybe 2 to 3 assistance exercises. But please understand, I don't know what your general physical preparedness is. I don't know what your readiness is, but that's just generally what I would recommend there. Why are you lagging? I don't know. That's just the way it goes. Why powerlifters are fat? Why can't they just stay under 15%? Because no one gives a shit what you look like. Powerlifting's about lifting the most amount of weight in 3 lifts. It doesn't matter how you get there. That's why. Otto Von Schoon says, thanks for the reply. I appreciate that. Good luck with the game. Yes, have a great Thanksgiving. All right. All right, Zachary says, I'm feeling like I'm getting caught up. I got to get moving here because I got to get to school, getting caught up and doing far too much accessory work and trying to force too much into a 45 and 60-minute window. Would I be better served with triumvirate and a focus on intensity? I assume when you say intensity, that means effort, right? So yes, I'd have to see you train. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, but you should be able to get, one main lift and maybe 3 assistance lifts. As long as they're done hard and with purpose, you should be good to go. All right, doesn't mean everyone needs to do that. But yeah, just try that out. So maybe 1 main lift and 2 assistance lifts and really pound the shit out of them and make sure you're doing good work. Yeah. Miller says, in your opinion, doing 5-3-1 main lift and the 5 sets of 10 with some cardio effective enough to keep in the decent shape? Depend on the person, right? I think you need more variety than that, though, if I'm going to be completely honest. So, again, I don't know if you're in horrible shape, like what your version of decent shape is. Some people can get away with it. I think most people need more variety. Oh boy. I just lost my spot. Here we go. Corey says, hey, you do way too much free info already to pick your brain. Obviously, training is dialed. What are your expectations for the kids to eat, considering everyone has a different situation at home? I've been asked this question quite a bit. My expectation is first is the kids have to eat something. That's issue 1. A lot of kids don't eat. Number 2 is we try to get the kids, if they're able to do that, try to get the kids to eat 150 grams of protein a day. And however they get that done, I don't know. All right, that's kind of up to them, but that's the goal. If they have to use protein drinks, that's fine. So that's goal number 2. Goal number 3, and not a lot of kids get there, is that's when we start dialing in. We start packing our chicken and our ground beef and some rice and fruits and vegetables and that. But most kids don't get there. But the main goal, if I can get every kid to eat breakfast and have 150 grams of protein and just avoid most of the crap, I think you are well on your way to making things successful. So, but again, number 1, the kids just need to eat food, not eat a lot of crap. Number 2 is 150 grams of protein. And number 3 is when we start all nitpicking, what everyone kind of knows what to do. But yeah, it's a whole different world when you're dealing with different families and stuff. Are singles with 90% an effective method to increase an overhead press beyond 225? Yeah, it can be. Yes. That's not the only way, though. But yeah, you can do that. Yes. I don't really know. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to get stronger, guys. The most important thing is you're consistent, you're giving effort, and you're building muscle, especially on the press and the bench press. Mortal Man says, my training is coming along. Thanks to you, my lifts aren't huge, but I've hit a squat of 185 for 18. Whew. 290 for 14 on deadlift. Okay. All right. Ooh, that's not bad, brother. 290 for 14 is no joke. All right. Gary says, thanks for the lesson, coach. I'm on my 2-mile, ruck knowledge for the day. Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, Gary. Enjoy it, man. Oh, I love doing that stuff. In boring but big after the 5-3-1, the first exercise of 5 sets of 10. Is that an example of a supplemental lift or more volume on the main lift? It's both. It's a supplemental lift with more volume on the main lift. Yeah, I classify that as supplemental. There you go. That's the best way to say that. I'm going to get rolling here, guys. Jiu-Jitsu Raider says, good day to you. Thank you for your work. I appreciate that, Jiu-Jitsu Raider. Barbells Dumbbells says, what are your suggestions on utilizing 5-3-1 for bodybuilding related goals? I love high rep ballistic volume training, but want to keep doing this, but incorporate 5-3-1. Yeah, so you would just do your main lift and then however you want to do that. It's going to be up to you. But then you just do your either supplemental work and assistance work for more bodybuilding-esque, right? It has been my experience, guys. Listen, I wish someone would have taught me this and really showed me how to program it properly. But a lot of that training, and if your goal is to build muscle and be a dude, like a lot of the training has to be correctly paced. And what I mean by that is we cut down some of the rest periods. We allow kids to do things within their readiness and preparedness, but we've seen great things happen by having a faster pace to the training. So Gunnar says, hey Jim, what barbecue do you have? You talking about my grill? I got no idea. I don't know. Weber maybe? I don't know. I just turn it on, throw the shit on there and walk away. So yeah, I'm not very good at that stuff. I just dangerous enough to cook chicken thighs. I probably out there 3 or 4 times a week cooking. I don't know. Just fill the thing up with chicken thighs. And then occasionally I have some steak, right? I'm, again, not very good at any of that stuff. All right, last question here. Jiu-Jitsu Raider says, what's your opinion on Dorian Yates HIIT style workouts? I think they're awesome. I think the hard thing with the Dorian Yates style of training is the effort I don't think people are willing to give. And listen, that's not a knock on them personally. A lot of people, I work hard. I think to really dig in there, I think you got to be a little nuts. And I also believe that Dorian Yates, because of what he did outside the weight room and his lifestyle, his eating, all that stuff, I think was as important as anything. So I think, yes, it can work. It has worked for lots of people. I would not want to train like that very often. But I think there's other factors that come into play, mainly the stuff he did outside. And he just trained hard. More people need to learn how to train hard. And what are you reading at the moment? The last question. Oh, man, I don't even know what this book is called. Oh, boy. Let's see if this is it. Oh, here we go. Boop. Kill Bin Laden. So that's what I'm reading right now. It's under a pseudonym. So I got a stack of books I got to read here. I just keep on buying whatever book someone recommends. So this is the newest one. All right. Here we go. I appreciate everyone. Thank you guys for being part of this. I love doing this. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay warm. As always, if you do some kind of dumb conditioning thing, which I highly recommend you do not get hurt, do not die, but push yourself, find out who you are, enjoy the misery. There's nothing better. You have an opportunity to push yourself.